Yo, what's up everybody? It's Michael Leader and welcome to a little thing that I'm going to be calling Top 10. Top 10 can be anything. It could be top 10 favorite foods or movies or songs or anything. But the idea is it's top 10 favorite, not top 10 best of all time, because that's subjective. So we're just going to do top 10 favorites. So I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite movies. That's the first thing that we're going to do today. And when I give you that top 10, comment away. Like, subscribe, comment your ass off. Say anything you want. Let me know what you think. What are your favorites? That's what I want to know. What are your favorite movies? And I'm not talking about movies that you think are the best because they were directed by Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino. No, I mean the movies that you watched and have watched through your whole life that, like, maybe you watched it when you were 6, but you still watch it when you're 36 because it's just still that good. Like, you're still thoroughly entertained by it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rattle off my top 10 list for you real quick, and I'm going to give that to you, and then I want to hear from all of you guys. I want to hear in the comments section. If you share it on social media, I want you to tag me, and I want you to tag your friends, and I want to know everybody's favorite, because this is like, I used to work at Blockbuster, okay? And one of the things that was the most fun about that is, like, your job was literally just to talk about movies all day. Literally, that was your job. I miss it so much, I can't even tell you. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm still going to talk about movies with all of you guys. So I want your input. So I'm going to give you my top 10, and we're going to go from there. Ready? Okay. Number 10, first of all, Batman, 1989. Now, again, what's the best is subjective. So we're not talking about the best. We're talking about my top 10 favorite. And yes, the first 10, number 10, Batman, 1989. It's one of my first memories of seeing a movie in a theater, and it was just awesome. Like, I literally remember leaning forward in the chair and staring at the screen in during the scene where they knock Jack Napier, not yet Joker, into the vat of chemicals. So amazing, so much fun. Number 10 for sure, Batman. Number 9 is The Godfather. Maybe high on the list for some people and they don't necessarily like it, but again, favorites, subjective. It's my opinion. It's what I like the most, and that's it. But one of those things that I actually didn't even watch till I was in my 20s working at Blockbuster, because number one, you're too young if you're younger than, I mean, there's a lot of kids who are young and understand mob and stuff like that, but I didn't know that much about that stuff, so I never really worried about it. When I got into my 20s, I was at a point where I could understand it and certainly appreciate it more, and I absolutely did. And working at Blockbuster was what got me to that, because I was like, oh, I have never seen The Godfather. Let me turn this on. And it was great. I loved it. So boom, number 9 is The Godfather. Number 8, Scream. I know this sounds crazy, especially because it's like a horror film too, and horror, that's not really usually in people's top 10. But everybody's different, so you don't ever know. You don't really know. But Scream was one of those things that I loved, and I love Neve Campbell, and it was because of that series. Like, Neve Campbell is like, you talk about Jamie Lee Curtis, and you talk about like Heather Langenkamp and how they were like revolutionized stuff with like Halloween and with Freddy Krueger and stuff like that. But they just, and I thought they were great, and it was exciting and scary. But something about Neve Campbell, maybe there was like that crush in there as well that just added to it, but I just love Neve Campbell, and that Scream series, I loved it, and it was so great. And so yes, number 8 in my top 10 is 100% Scream, the original Scream, 1996. Number 7, no big surprise to be in a top 10 list, Rocky. Rocky is a classic film that, I mean, when I was a kid, I really loved the Rocky series. I loved watching Rocky 2, 3, and 4. Nobody liked watching Rocky 5 until Rocky 6 came out. Then they were like, well, it's not Rocky 6. But you get what I'm saying. But I never wanted to watch Rocky 1. I never wanted to watch Rocky 1 when I was a kid. And why? Because simple thinking of a child is, well, in Rocky 2, 3, and 4, Rocky wins. In Rocky 1, Rocky loses. It wasn't until I was older at Blockbuster again where I revisited the first Rocky, and I realized, wow, like, I saw the art and the beauty in the story of the first Rocky. And I still, to this day, when I watch it again, I still cry at the end when Adrian and Rocky come together in the ring and stuff like that, because that really is an emotional moment. And a great movie. So number 6 was a toss-up for me. It was really tough, and I had it between the first and the second movie, and I ultimately ended up going with Terminator 2. The original Terminator, I do have memories of that, like vivid memories, just as I do for Terminator 2. Terminator 1, sitting in my living room, my babysitter came over and she actually turned it on because I think it was on like cable, so there was like commercials and it was like edited and stuff, so we're like, oh, we can watch it. And I, to this moment, can't even tell you how I was first introduced to Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I knew him. And he transcended so much, and that I knew him and I liked him. So when we saw the first Terminator, I didn't like it because he was a bad guy. And then Terminator 2 came out, and somehow he was the good guy, and that already, you know, as a kid, that brings it up another level for you. But then it's one of those things that I can tell you, I've watched Terminator 2 countless times. And I've watched Terminator 1 a lot too, but not nearly as much as I've watched Terminator 2. And you think about it, and it's like, yeah, I really, really like Terminator 2 more. That's definitely the favorite, not Terminator 1. And the reason is, a big part of this is, you know, you're watching a kid in this movie too. The story's based around John Connor as a child. So you, again, it's easier for you to relate to the character of a child than a freaking machine that looks like a man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what you can relate to. When you're watching a movie, you're trying to find something in the character that you feel for, that you understand. And so, you know, it's easier for a kid to feel for a kid. But then you grow up and you watch it over and you're just like, this is just a badass movie and it deserves to be in everybody's top 10 list. That's what it is. Terminator 2, yes, number 6. Number 5, Back to the Future. Back to the Future is a classic that stands the test of time, and that I have a friend whose son, when he was like 6, just a couple years ago, putting it on for him, and he's watching the whole trilogy, and he's loving it just as much as I do now and I did when I was a kid. And that's one of those things, like, this isn't about what was the best. This is about the thing, because movies make you feel, man. They make you, when you really watch that movie, that like you walk out of it like, oh God, like I didn't even put this in my top 10 list, but I guess you can say honorable mention, Inception. When I went to see Inception, I came out of the theater and I just didn't know, I couldn't talk. Like, I didn't know what to think, because I was still, because that's one of those things, like, I was really analyzing it, and if you've seen Inception, you know there's a lot to it. So it's one of those things where I was still breaking it down, but I loved that. I loved that it made me think so much, and it was cool, and that's the point. Is like, it's like the movies make you feel. It's not about what's the best. It's about that movie that you're just like, I got on and I took that fucking ride. You know what I'm saying? But that's it. So Back to the Future, number 5. Everybody took a ride on that one. Number 4. Silence of the Lambs. The toss-up here for me was between either Silence of the Lambs or Red Dragon, because I love that entire series with the Hannibal Lecter. But ultimately, I mean, you can't beat the original, especially in that series. Just Anthony Hopkins, 16 minutes of screen time, and he still wins the Academy Award. And then you got Jodie Foster, who was incredible. So good. Number 3, The Wizard of Oz. It's one of those classics that I feel like is on a lot of people's lists. There are some people who dislike it strongly, I've heard, but I'm not one of them. I love it. I love watching the whole thing, start to finish, all the way through. Big fan of The Wizard of Oz. I always loved the Cowardly Lion. I did an impersonation when I was a kid. Still kind of do, but you're not getting that today. Not today. Number 2, as represented by the t-shirt that I wear from beautiful Martha's Vineyard, New Jersey, where the original movie was filmed, Jaws. Jaws is definitely, I mean, and there's people out there who say it's their favorite movie of all time. I absolutely believe that, because it's such a great movie. You know, as a kid, again, I go back to what I said about Terminator and how, you know, you, as a kid, you relate to the kids. So Jaws, I would watch Jaws 2 all the time, because Jaws 2 was about a bunch of kids going in their sailboats and going out to the island, and then the shark comes after them. It seems more relatable for a child. But then I get older, go work at Blockbuster, and I've got this, you know, reintroduction to Jaws, watch it again, and say, holy shit, like, it's just so good. Like, the first Jaws is so good. I can't say any more than that. And then, of course, the fact that when I was a kid, I vacationed in Martha's Vineyard because my dad's friend lived there. It was cool, man. It was awesome. It's like, dude, I drove over the bridge that Jaws swims under in the first one. That's so badass, you know? And what's cooler than that when you're a kid? You know what I mean? So Jaws definitely has stood the test of time. And I live by the beach now, so it's like summertime comes around, and I'm like, I'm ready for the summer. Turn on Jaws. And my wife's like, why are you watching Jaws? You're watching a movie about a shark in an ocean We live right by the ocean. I'm like, I know, no better way to get ready for summer. She thinks I'm nuts. She's somewhat right. But number one, let's get it. Number one, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The number one favorite movie of all time. And this is so high on the pedestal for me. I really do not know if it will ever get knocked off. I do not know if I'll ever watch a movie that I truly think is better than this one. Especially if Jaws doesn't beat it, because Jaws is phenomenal. Shawshank Redemption. It's a common on many people's top 10 lists. It's very high up on those lists, if not in first place. It's just such a great movie. It's an incredible, perfect story arc with great characters, and the underlying story of hope throughout the entire thing. That tone of like that hopefulness that you feel, that persistence that's portrayed by Andy Dufresne, the lead character. It's an incredible film, and it's a great movie. And if you have not seen Shawshank Redemption, highly, highly recommend it. If you haven't seen any of these, I highly recommend them. Some of them are not Oscar caliber, but that doesn't mean they're not good either. So that's my top 10, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I tried to be as brief as I could be, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a explanation each one. But what's your top 10? Tell me what your top 10 is. Like it, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share it on social media. But when you do, make sure you put your top 10 favorite movies of all time in there, because let's have a movie conversation. That's nothing more fun. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching today, guys. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on all forms of social media, Twitter and Instagram. I am at Michael Leader. Facebook is Michael Leader Actor. And make sure on all forms of social media, no matter what you're doing, if you're talking about me, posting a picture, sharing one of my videos, make sure you hashtag follow the leader.